Well, just as promised, we're going to give Pearl a bath today. A much needed bath. And you know, before we do that, we just might have to kill some more lichen. Kill the lichen, kill the lichen, kill the lichen, kill it dead. Kill the lichen, kill it dead. Okay, been a while since we've been up here on the top of Pearl. Lichen. Lichen is some really interesting stuff. Well, we found this out right after we got Pearl here. If you have to go back to, I think it's video 11 in our series. And since we're in the 120s now, that was a while back. But video number 11, we had just, had Pearl a couple of months, and we gave her her first bath, her first good cleaning. And we showed you how we treated lichen, because here on this fiberglass cab over, there was a serious problem with lichen growing. For those of you who don't know, lichen is a very complex and interesting life form here on planet Earth. It is very much alive. It is a fungus and one, possibly two, algae living in a symbiotic relationship. In other words, they are bonded together to each one's mutual advantage. The lichen actually gets the bigger advantage out of this relationship, because lichen, being a fungus, it's not really a moss, it's a fungus. It looks like moss usually, but it's a fungus. And being a fungus, it has no chlorophyll, so it cannot conduct photosynthesis. It cannot make its own food and nourishment. And because it is a fungus, it doesn't really have a root system. Now, it bonds to the surfaces. It can grow in dirt, grass, rock. It can grow on fiberglass, we found out quite well. It bonds and it leaves its traces, spores, what have you, on that surface. So it can be hard to get rid of, but it can't make its own food. That's where the two types of other organisms come in. The algae. Algae are great at photosynthesis. That's the way they live. They soak up sunlight, they make all kinds of food, and with them bonded to the lichen, that gives the lichen a food source. So the lichen literally cannot survive without having this food source, having the algae. And there is, you may be wondering what the algae gets out of it. Actually, it's protection, because being inside the lichen, being bonded to it and part of the organism, gives it much better protection from the elements and from animals. There are animals that eat this stuff, certainly eat algae. So, and other organisms as well that can invade it and eat it, literally, and destroy it. So yeah, so it's a symbiotic relationship. They both get something out of it. The lichen probably gets the better side of the deal, but hey, the algae's not complaining, right? And I said there could be two types of algae. There's a second type, and I'm not even going to attempt to tell you what kind it is, because it's one of those long botanical names. But basically, what it does, I think, is deals with nitrogen. It takes nitrogen out of the atmosphere and provides that, which is another thing that plants need. They usually get it from soil, but lichen doesn't always grow on soil. Case in point, fiberglass. There ain't no nitrogen in this fiberglass. So chances are this life form that we had growing here on Pearl probably had this second type of, it is an algae, it's a form of an algae, but it tends to focus more on nitrogen than making food from chlorophyll, all right? So now that you know a lot more about lichen than you ever cared to know, You may remember that in that video number 11, we showed you actually a comparison. You can look and see what this fiberglass overcab looked like. All right, I'm linking to that video below, by the way, so you can watch the whole video. But we'll show you a little clip here about what it looked like and how the lichen had invaded, you know, a couple of large patches and then just covered it completely in other areas. And it wasn't just on top; it came down on the sides as well of the fiberglass cover here. And on the front in particular. So yeah, we had to do something about that, and we ended up using a combination of vinegar and Dawn dishwashing detergent. And that was one of the best things to loosen. You had to loosen it, spray it on, let it soak, and then scrub and scrub and scrub, and then rinse and repeat, basically, until you got the lichen out. And even at that, we figured then that it wasn't going to kill it. We'd have to come back and maintain it coming back. But the before and after was just incredible about how this top looked covered in lichen, and then how it looked after the treatment. That was just amazing. And I can see traces that look like the lichen could be coming back. It's basically just shadows on this surface right now. I have ordered a product called Wet and Forget. I don't have it yet. Should have it by next week though, and maybe we will come back here. Well, next week we have the rodeo as a special here on DMT and Me. But perhaps the next week we'll come back, and part of our program then will be using that Wet and Forget. It basically, the name says it all. It's a moss and lichen and fungus and mold treatment that you spray on. Just spray it on there, and then you walk away from it. You just leave it there. You let it soak. It needs a few days of sunshine to really activate it. And then it can rain on it, it can do anything, but it stays there and it works long term on whatever the organism is you're treating. And then maybe come back, give it a scrub, see what it looks like, spray some more on, walk away and forget it. So I love the Wet and Forget. That's just a beautiful name for it. I'm looking forward to trying it and to treating Pearl's fiberglass especially with it. So we'll do that in the future. And for today, we're just going to get up here with some good old soapy water, some dishwashing detergent, and a sponge and a brush on a pole so that I don't have to get up and walk on this roof. And we'll get the top nice and clean, and then clean on the sides and see if we can't get Pearl looking a little bit shiny. She hasn't had a bath, really, I'm ashamed to say, in I think it's been at least a year. The last time she got cleaned was when we had a group of the grandnieces were over here. And I honestly can't tell you if that was last summer or the summer before. I think it was last summer. So we're looking at least a year since she's had anything but a rainfall bath. And she needs it. She needs it badly. So let's get wet. Here again, a big improvement that you can compare to the front, which we'll get from the ground on the front. I also want to show you, you can see some traces right in here. This is where lichen was, and it's not scrubbing clean. So some of those areas like that, we're going to have to come back with the wet and forget and see if we can't take care of that. All right, now that's the fiberglass. We got the rest of this top that needs a good scrubbing, so let's see how that's going to turn out. You're wondering why I'm not using a spray nozzle on this. Well, my hose broke and I haven't been able to find the correct fitting to either go on there or to splice on another piece of hose with a proper ending on it. And my other problem is the other end of this hose seems to have welded itself to my spigot. I have not been able to get it loose, and I have tried just about everything I can think of. So, tip of the day, any of you watching have an idea how to get a water hose connection loose from a spigot that it's been literally screwed onto so long that the minerals in the water have welded it together. If there's something that'll go on there to break that loose and I can get a new hose, please let me know in the comments below, and I would be eternally appreciative to you. All right. Boy, this isn't perfect, but you know what? It looks better than it did. It would look even better if I could give it a spray rinse rather than just a sloppy trickle. But for today, I'm going to take what I can get. So we've got some of the dirt off. Got to go down and do the back end of the top, and then we're going to come around, start at the front, and work our way around, giving Pearl her first bath in a year, something like that. Okay. One interesting thing I realized, actually when I was working on top, and it applies to the sides too. One of these days, not too far away I hope, whenever I start removing this plastic, we're going to have to clean under the plastic because all this scrubbing is not helping what's under there. It's still going to be dirty. But I'm not worried about that today. Nope, not at all. What a difference, huh? What a difference. Let me show you something real close here first of all though, okay? Here again, and I hope it shows up on the camera, you can see traces of the lichen. See this little shadow in here and all that? There was lichen. See, this piece is fiberglass. This is what they called it a wing. Mobile Traveler called it a wing. Helps with aerodynamics. But anyway, all this right up in here and all down through here had lichen on it. And even though we took it off, it's left this behind. It's not really a root system, but it is somewhat of a, I don't know, it's like a spore residue, a film, and you can't scrape it off. It doesn't wash off. There's even a little bit of vinegar mixed in with this dishwater wash soap powders. Yeah, it's dish soap, but you know, we're washing pearl with it. Anyway, got a touch of vinegar in there too. So maybe it'll help control that until I can get the wet and forget. And I have to be sure and spray this part as well as those areas on top. And see if we can get rid of that permanently, all right? Okay, back inside. Let's move around to the front and get the other side and we'll call it a day. Look at what a difference a good washing. I just washed this down along with the side. The hood has not been washed yet. This looked just like that. And now this is going to all look like that. And Pearl's going to look pretty. Yeah. And here we are, back where we started. My water splattered glasses. Whew, okay. Pearl is not spotless. By golly, she's a lot cleaner than she was. And I think it'll make her feel better. That'll make me feel better. And maybe we'll get a little more mechanical progress since we got her cleaned up. You never know. Cars and vehicles tend to respond to getting clean. One of my next steps now that I do have her clean, I want to give her a wax job. You know, that'll help protect the finish that she does have, and also especially protect the bad places. There's, you know, a lot of spots of rust and some places where we've got damage either to the aluminum siding or to the van vehicle itself. So we want to protect those, not let them rust any more than they already have. So waxing coming up next, but not today. Not this week, as a matter of fact. I'm not sure what's going to be coming up as far as the next work on Pearl, but I can tell you this. Next week, we will take you to the rodeo. The CrossFit Riding Club has just celebrated their 75th rodeo. 75 years. What a tradition. And it's as big and bad as it ever was, believe me. So we spent a night there with the MT and me cameras, and we'll bring that action to you next time around. Look in the crowd, you might even see yourself, okay? In the meantime, like I said, there's a link below to video number 11, which to me seems like it was eons ago. That's when we gave Pearl her first bath. Check it out. You'll learn a lot more about lichen, and then we'll come back here in the next week or two when we get the wet and forget and do another lichen treatment on our spots, especially on the fiberglass where it looks like we still have some traces of the lichen fibers or spores or whatever it is they leave behind, okay? So we'll do that, and be sure, like I said, there's a link below to video number 11 that shows the first bath, and there's been maybe one other since then. It might have been two. I'd have to look and be sure, but I know there's been one other about a year ago, so this one was way overdue and well deserved, and I actually enjoyed it. I mean, this is the first time here since the weather warmed up that I'd have had a chance to get outside and just get soaking wet. And there's just something that, you know, the kid in you always enjoys that. And I've got a lot of kid in me still. So anyway, it's been fun, but it's time for me to get inside, get out of these wet clothes, and wash myself off now that I've washed Pearl off. Thank you so much for hanging in there with us. I hope you'll join us next week for the rodeo special. Check out video 11 down there. Also, you can check out themtandme.com. There's the address of our Facebook page is down there as well. Follow us on Facebook. By all means, please subscribe if you haven't already. We're kind of picking up just a subscriber here and there. We're up to 155 last time I looked. But I do want to mention that about a week ago, it's been almost 2 weeks now, this channel surpassed 10,000 views. Thank you so much, because you're the ones that did that. I mean, I can't do it. I watch every video maybe once, twice at the most, you know, just to be sure everything's okay, and then I'm working on the next video. So you're the ones that have gotten us over 10,000 views. Now that's with our total videos, you know, for the past two and a half years almost. But still, that's a pretty good number. And thank you for helping. Let's go for 20,000. Keep watching, subscribe, thumbs up, share it with your friends, and join us next week right here on the MT and Me. It'll be rodeo time. I'm Russ. I love you, my nomies. Thanks for watching. We'll talk later. Whew. Man, I'm wet. I'm as wet as she is.